Why do you think I think it's become almost harder now than it has ever been? Why do you think that?
You mean for a Muslim?
No, just in general, like
To live together.
in general, living together. I'm not personally religious, so I don't know, but it seems like the media and stuff, there's always seems to be something popping up about people arguing, and you were saying the past that didn't happen. Why do you think it's now happening?
Well, okay, not everything was sugar and honey in the past. I'm not okay. I didn't say that. But if you look at Al-Andalus, for example, for 700 years, the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, when Muslims, Christians, and Jews were living under Sharia, under Islamic law, together, then you will see small incidents of problems and civil wars and within themselves because of religion. Yeah. Okay. First of all, the media, they're playing their role. Okay, they do what they have to do, what they do best. That's exactly that. To portray everything that is better. At this moment, Islam is the big enemy. You know, some years ago, some decades ago, when I grew up, when I went to school, the big enemy was communism. I went to school in Germany, and they used to teach us how to crawl under the table if we heard the right alarm when the Eastern Germans are coming over, right? Now, nowadays, Eastern Germans have become better Germans than me, right? So now East Germany is part of Germany, and I am a foreigner, right? Although I'm more German than them. So you see how things change. Yeah. Now, for the same reason, this can change again in some years. I just hope that it will not happen the way it happened to the Jews. Because also before, there was a very big anti-Semitism in Europe, and actually anti-Semitism was mainly home here in Europe. And we have a lot of pogroms that happened in Germany, in Belgium, in Holland, in France, in Italy, during the time before the Second World War, long before, when the Jews were actually already established societies in Italy, before the Christians became Christians. There were Jews already there. So the argument of we were here before you, then actually the Christians should also leave Europe. So why it is like this nowadays in certain countries, that is the game at the moment. At the moment, Islam is the enemy. So hopefully it will change, but hopefully it will not change the way it changed with the Jews. Because nowadays, it's a Judeo-Christian civilization in Europe, right? Before World War II, they would always talk about Christian civilization, never about Judeo-Christian. Now it's a Judeo-Christian civilization, until they finally realized Christian civilization, because the Muslims 700 years in Spain did not do nothing for this civilization to become the way it is now. Without the Muslims in Spain, there would be no Renaissance. There would have been no Renaissance in Europe. Without the Muslims in Spain, we wouldn't even know what Aristotle was. Without the Muslims in Spain, we wouldn't even know how to, calculate properly. We wouldn't have the zero, and so on and so on. Yes, sir.
Take you back to a question this brother asked. I'd like to apologize for going back to that question, but I think it's very important that we need to know the character of the Prophet Muhammad to understand why he married the 9-year-old girl, and whether that, of course, that narration is in Bukhari and we believe in that, but there are some narrations that also say that she was as old as 21. Of course, we take it as weaker. She was 18, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And how did the Prophet Muhammad treat his wives? Because of course he had more than one wife. We need to know that. If you could take a couple of minutes, please, to talk about that. So, I'm a Muslim. I know Prophet Muhammad, more or less. Then that makes it easy for me to understand why that man married a 9-year-old girl, even though if it was acceptable at this time, okay. But then, if you could also mention when he was preaching his religion in Mecca, all the non-Muslims or his enemies came to him saying, have all the girls, virgin, non-virgin, whatever you want in Arabia, but give up on your religion and have our taxes, be our king, be our ruler, and so on and so forth. But he didn't accept any of them. It's hard for a non-Muslim to understand why
True.
a man at that
True.
age married a 9-year-old. And also, what did that 9-year-old think of that man?
Okay, very, very true. Jazakallah khair. Indeed, but it might take us a whole evening to describe everything, So that's why I made it easy and just explain in order to. But you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's true, because it is something that I know. I know a girl, for example, who married a friend of mine. She was not a Muslim. She accepted Islam later, and her only problem, she said, was this. She said, "I accept everything in Islam, but I cannot understand why he had to marry her. Why he had to marry Aisha radiallahu anha being so young." She had a problem with that, specific problem. I said, just this. If you could explain to me like just this, that I can understand that, then I will accept everything then. Okay? So indeed, it seems to be an issue, but it's an issue for a 21st century person. It's an issue for us now. And it's not as an Islamic issue. It's the same like circumcision for the woman. Now, in Uganda, the majority of women being circumcised are not Muslims but Christian. Just to make a side point here again. So it has nothing to do with Islam. It is just a traditional thing again. This issue with Aisha radiallahu anha, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the character of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, indeed, it's a very, very important point to know who he was and why he was the person he was, and why in the end people did not criticize him. He was called, he was a person who was a truthful one, the person who people would look upon and would get actually, they would ask for things to be resolved before Islam. But when he came up saying, I'm a prophet, the same people who were calling him, he was a wise and a truthful person, the very same people said, no, he's a liar. When has he ever lied before? Never. So why is he a liar now? You see, things change again. Okay, because of the perception of people at this moment. But if it was an issue, just to keep it short, because otherwise really can blow the framework actually. A very simple thing. If it was something that was not acceptable during that time, we would have had people from all parts of the world that time criticizing that. And it never happened. We don't have authentic sources at all that mention any Byzantine emperor, any Quraysh from Arabia, anybody living in the same society who was his enemy, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam enemy, whoever said that was wrong what he did. Never. This shows that it was the norm. There was nothing wrong with it that time. Now we follow the rules and the laws in this country. Now, according to, I think, by the way, in certain states in the States, and I don't remember exactly which one it is, but I know certain states in the States, just a moment, sorry, a girl can get married when she's 11 years old. Nowadays, in 2014, there are certain states in the States, and I do not know exactly which states they are. Certain are 11, some are 12, some are 13, some are 14, some are 15. In Holland, it's 14, by the way. Yes.
I just want to add a couple of more points to what you said. In Spain also, I think it's 13.
Spain is 14, I think. I think now they have increased it.
Uruguay, Argentina, some of those have also the age of consent.
True. And this is nowadays, guys, 13, 14 years old. Honestly, if somebody came to ask for my daughter when she's 13, I would kick him out of the house. But according to Spanish law, you can do that, but not according to Greek law. Okay, there you go. So now, look how different societies are, and look how different countries are. Look how different people think. Okay, so that's why we move within the framework of Islam. It's very simple. You stay within the framework. It doesn't matter what Saudi Arabia says, or Morocco, or Turkey. Yes.
Just one more point for the audience who are more Muslims, just to say that if Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him was a lustful man, why would he marry a 40-year-old, his first wife, while he was 25?
I forgot this, brother. Thank you very much. A very good point that I had this also already. You're absolutely right. Prophet Muhammad was married to Khadija radiallahu anha. She was 40. There was a difference of 15 years. How many years?
15.
Sorry? Yeah, no, I mean, how many years difference between 15, right?
15.
So he was 15 years younger than Khadija radiallahu anha. So if he was a pedophile, why would he go for somebody who was 15 years older than him that time, guys? Come on, a very logical thing now. Okay? So, yeah.
Could you clarify why it was important to maybe marry somebody who was 6 years old before her lenses had started at that time?
First of all,
That was also common as well.
it was common to marry young girls. I don't know how young, but it was common to marry young girls, absolutely. The other thing also, societies that time, girls did not live long. People did not live very long. Okay, the older people there were 50, 60 years old. All right? Second of all, Aisha radiallahu anha has become she has become the mother of the believers. Okay, we call her the mother of the believers. She remained after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, after many of the people who were with him had died, she remained to teach the nation. So if she had been that time 40, in 10, 20 years, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had died,